Perhaps you found that you're struggling with several different types of questions. If you find yourself unable to break through, consider watching this video. First, let's discuss the first layer of ability-dependency relationships, which can be divided into 4 types. The first is mathematical ability. The second is close reading, referring to understanding small sections of text like in critical reasoning, CR, where you must fully grasp the meaning of a short passage of about 80 to 100 words. The third is logical thinking ability, involving reasoning, strengthening, weakening, or finding the conclusion. And then the fourth type is called skimming ability. Skimming ability refers to being able to grasp the main structure of a longer passage, such as an RC reading comprehension passage of about 300 to 400 words. Next, let's look at the second layer, which is about which types of questions require these foundational abilities. For example, if you're working on math questions, you need to have close reading skills as well, because many math problems are word problems. Of course, you also need mathematical ability, right? What about when you're working on CR questions? You need logical reasoning and close reading skills. CR, critical reasoning, has few sentences. Missing or misreading something likely leads to a wrong answer. For DS, data sufficiency, you need mathematical ability, close reading, and logical reasoning, as DS questions can involve math or non-math content. GT, general test, requires mathematical ability, especially statistics. You also need close reading skills, as many specific questions can be complex. It's hard to understand and easy to misinterpret. So what about the third level? Oh, the more advanced part is the TPA section. It requires the logical reasoning skills from CR, and it also involves math, because sometimes it may test your math skills. You need to find the relevant information from a large amount of data, so you also need abilities using DS. As for the RC section, it is based on CL, but it also requires an additional skill, the ability to grasp the overall structure of the entire passage, which is the general reading or skimming ability. Finally, in the MSR section, sometimes there are charts or graphs on the pages, so you need to use specific skills for that. Additionally, sometimes you'll be asked to find relevant information from a large amount of text, so you also need to use your TPA skills. At the same time, you need to maintain an overall grasp of the content and integrate information from multiple pages, so you also need the global reading ability from RC. All right, so this is the final layer. The purpose of this chart is that if you find yourself short on time and realize that you have several types of questions that are your weak points, for example, if you discover that both CR and Q are your weak areas, what is the shared skill between these two? It's close reading ability. So you can consider prioritizing improvement in this area. For example, if you find that both RC and CL are your weak points, there's a dependency between the two. You should focus on CR before RC, because CR involves close reading on a smaller scale. All right, and then you add logical reasoning ability and then reading ability, and that's what makes up RC. So if both are weak, you definitely need to start strengthening the ones that have more dependencies earlier on. So you can consider which abilities are shared between which sections and which ones have a sequential relationship to determine which question types you should practice first when you're short on time. That's all for me. I'm Dustin. See you next time. Bye-bye.